US law enforcement is investigating whether there are any links between a New Orleans truck attack and the explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel, Las Vegas. FBI Special Agent in charge Jeremy Schwartz told reporters that it was not yet clear whether the blast was an act of terrorism. He added that the FBI had identified the person driving the vehicle but was not yet ready to publicly identify the driver.
We believe this is an isolated incident. We do not believe that there's a bunch of folks out there supporting this or helping this, and we don't believe that there's any other danger to the community right now.
A Cybertruck exploded in flames outside the Trump Hotel, Las Vegas on Wednesday, killing one person and injuring at least 7 others. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said it was investigating the fire at the entrance to the tower. The suspicious blast is being investigated as possible terrorist attack. The public was told to avoid the area, though the police noted the fire had been put out. Elon Musk, Tesla's chief executive, said in a statement on X that the explosion was caused by very large fireworks and a bomb carried in the bed of the rented Cybertruck, and said the vehicle was functioning properly. President Joe Biden has been briefed on the fire and explosion near the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas and has directed his team to offer any federal assistance needed. All right, and DD India correspondent Anil Thomas is joining us live on this. Hi Anil, a very good morning. Indeed, a very tragic incident on New Year's Day. Around 15 people reportedly killed and around 30 injured. Probe is on. What are the updates you're getting on this?
Good morning, Siddharth. Well, an horrifying incident to begin your new year, and especially New Orleans, where this incident has taken place that comes in Louisiana state. You know, one needs to understand this particular state thrives or survives on tourism. And I think this particular incident, it's a one-off incident that we've seen. Remember, an incident of not of this scale, but as a smaller one was seen in November last year. And before that in 2017, where, you had almost 20 people that were injured in another incident that took place. But all in all, this particular city thrives on its tourism. And I think New Year's Day and the 2 days that follow, along with the Super Bowl game that's taking place there in New Orleans. So clearly, the idea was to upset both. You know, the New Year celebrations there, the city gets affected. And, you know, this city is known as the murder capital of the United States because of the high homicide rates that this particular city sees. And that's the reason, you know, this particular city was almost on the verge of, rebuilding itself. You had seen a sharp drop, especially when it comes to the murder rates that had dropped almost 35%. The total crime rate in New Orleans and Louisiana had come down almost 26%. So it was in the state of rebuilding. This particular incident that happened today is an act of terrorism. And President Joe Biden has clearly indicated that there is no link between the two attacks that have taken place. One that's taken place in New Orleans and the other one that's taken place. So that's one thing that's very clear. A terrorist attack, yes, that's an indication as of now. But I think New Orleans is a city that's not used to something like this. They have survived the previous 2 instances when, you know, these kind of incidents of, you know, where people have lost their lives and you've seen similar kind of accidents that have taken place. This is an act of terrorism. I think it will be very difficult, especially for a city like that, which thrives on tourism and economy. Remember, close to 19 billion was what it had earned last year purely from, their economics, tourism, and that's how they thrive on. So this particular incident, horrifying incident, surely unsettles the apple cart for them and affects the tourism industry and also the hotels hotel and the other peripheral industries that thrive on it. And I think the Super Bowl game, that's the big attraction. Yeah. Americans find Super Bowl to be a big attraction for them to follow. And the New Year celebrations, the first 2 days, followed by the big Super Bowl game that takes place. So there's a huge presence of crowd, not only from the city, but also in and around America. And I think that's where, you know, this particular attack has larger ramifications. And I think the FBI, they're clearly trying to keep things under check. But the Super Bowl game being moved is almost a big relief purely in terms of, you know, how people would look at this particular attack. And I think that's surely left horrifying marks, especially in the minds of people. And I think this city would need a lot of pushing and a lot of pulling, especially to, get out of this, because if tourism is your backbone on which your economy thrives and these kind of incidents happen, I think tourists will prefer to stay away from the city. And I think that would be the bigger cause of concern. But the loss of lives that's taken place, President Joe Biden himself stepping in from Camp David, addressing the media and taking questions head on, is indicative of at least, the Democrats there clearly are coming up front, and the president himself leading the way, especially in condemning this incident and taking stock of the situation on ground zero.
Definitely, Anil, horrifying incident and also will affect tourism. Anil, any information on the motive behind the attack yet?
Well, still investigations on. Some say, there are two ways to look at this. There is no motive that's been understood yet. He had worked in the army and he was feeling dejected. Again, since I mentioned the homicide capital, that could be something that people would refer back to, because this particular city has known, as I mentioned, for the high crime rate that it has seen. So that could be one motive, but there is also another theory that's floating there, because there's a Super Bowl game. There are a lot of restrictions that have come into play. This could have also been because both the vehicles that have been used in both the blasts today have been rented, Airbnb vehicles that have been used in both the attack. One. Secondly, there are a lot of restrictions that were brought in. So the path that he took, especially the pathway that he took, could have been the reason for taking or using that way, or deviating from the original path on taking this particular route. But the accident, the horrifying incident, and the marks that it has left clearly don't seem to be. It looks like a one-off incident. The two incidents that have taken place have no link to each other. But I think this particular incident surely would send shockwaves down, the American minds, because this is something that is unsettling, especially when coming just began celebrating New Year Day. Remember, America celebrates New Year Day much later than what the rest of the world does. So this is still pretty much New Year season for them. They're still into the New Year revelry and enjoyment. So this particular incident surely, at this point of time, he looks like a solo person, who's carried out this particular attack. The ISIS flag, the Middle East terrorist group flag, surely reflecting on his truck. But having said all that, the FBI is still keeping a close watch on it. They have now at least, the fact that it's an act of terrorism. But beyond that, there's nothing much we can, nothing that much that the FBI has disclosed. And we'll have to look for more information as it trickles down.
Definitely. The probe is on, Anil, and since this is developing, we'll keep taking you on air. But as of now, we leave it there. Thank you so much.